Story 1. Everything. I would have said yes to way more opportunities and taken more risks if I had known that a few months shy of my 30th birthday, I would suddenly become so chronically ill that my entire life as I knew it would end. I would have done so much more if I had only known how my entire world would be limited to the inside of my parents' house, because I can no longer look after myself and doctors' offices. Don't ever take your health for granted. Story 2. Me reading this as a 22-year-old is very enlightening. It makes me feel like I still have time to figure stuff out. Thanks, guys. Edit. I just wanted to express heartfelt appreciation for all the replies. I have read all of them, and it has really given me perspective and value about where I am at right now. I had been feeling so much pressure since I will be graduating from college soon, but now I feel like I am in a good place and still have plenty of time to create a path for my life. I had been feeling like I was supposed to be at a certain point, or that my life has already been determined by what I have done up to now, but it's clearly not true. I have never felt so hopeful. Story 3. I'm in my last year of my 20s, and here's what I would do. I would choose to be more focused on myself. I was so focused on providing others with the best of me that I neglected myself for far too long. I would take more risks and get out of my comfort zone more. Instead of creating a fantasy of someone's potential, I would take what they gave me at face value. I would speak up for myself more and not allow others to make me feel less than. I would learn about passive income and invest. I wouldn't be afraid to move on from anything: jobs, friends, family, relationships, cities. I would do what I wanted 100%. I would savor the moments more. It wasn't until I hit 25 that I really started to see how quickly everything changed. I would never take my time for granted, and I'd stop to smell the roses more. Edit. I'd ask for help more. I was too prideful to ask for help or seek anyone else's advice. I wish I would have looked for a mentor and therapist earlier to help me along the way. Story 4. Explore even more, but also engage more professionally. Care less about people who don't actually matter to you and more about the ones who do. Go straight to school or start working in the industry I only discovered when I was 30. Love myself more. Story 5. I would have studied psychology now that I know what I want in life. I want to be a therapist. How do they expect 18-year-olds to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives? I also would love if they incorporated a semester of learning about different careers, interviewing people, etc. in high school. That way, we won't waste money on a career we don't actually want. Story 6. For the most part, I am satisfied with how I spent my 20s, but there are two things I would change. First, I wouldn't have focused so much on dating. I realized in my mid-20s that dating wasn't for me, but I kept wasting time on it. So much stress I could have avoided. Second, I would have started pursuing my actual dream earlier. I've always dreamt of being a novelist, but the odds of becoming a paid, published writer are so low that I didn't even bother trying. I went to college for computer science, something I was always good at but never passionate about. I got a good job, saved for 9 years, and eventually quit last year to pursue a writing career. I wouldn't change the part about working for 9 years and saving during my 20s, but I would have at least squeezed in a few hours to write and hone my craft every day, rather than waiting until I was 34. When I think of the material I could have finished in that span of time and the lessons I would have learned, I get a bit upset with myself for not starting sooner. Story 7. Study. Just study. Wring the government support until it bleeds for as much study money as humanly possible. Impose a moratorium on any partying, friendship circles, or anything distracting. Obtain the necessary degree, the required trade or qualification. Have courage. Invest in my own competency. The rest wouldn't automatically resolve itself, but my resolve would have been clearer. Story 8. Speak to my 3 living grandparents and ask them tons of questions. In my 30s now, no living grandparents, and suddenly I have all these questions about their lives, their parents, and the world as they knew it. I wish I could ask them. Story 9. Go to more concerts. This is my real regret. The artists I could have seen. Also, buy property instead of rent. It would have given me more money today to go to more concerts. Story 10. Nothing. I am very content in knowing that I lived my life in a full way, and I would not be where I am now if I had not made the mistakes and had the crazy times I did in my 20s. I have never and will never care at all about retiring rich. I would rather live a rich life and retire okay if I even make it that long. I have never understood the mentality that drives people to spend their entire lives worrying about having money when they are too old to do anything with it. Strap me in a virtual reality pod with a nutrient tube when I am 80, and I will be good with my memories and the video games of 2070. Story 11. Finish school correctly, but also treat my wife better. We are still married, but I would treat her as she deserves from the beginning. It has been a learning curve. Story 12. Travel more, hitchhike across the country was very common back then. Smoke more weed, have more fun while you're young. Instead, I did what my parents wanted me to do. Now, too old to do a lot of the things I wanted to do. Story 13. Make a routine of reaching out to friends before they become strangers again. Eat better and actually exercise beyond 30 minutes of walking a day. Try to buy Nintendo stock before March 3rd, 2017. Story 14. I wouldn't drink and drive as much. I got a driving under the influence charge in my 20s, but I could have gotten a lot more. That driving under the influence charge was the last time I drove drunk. Now I rarely drink at all, maybe 3 or 4 beers a year. I let my wife drink, and I am the designated driver. Story 15. Pull the trigger on Bitcoin and Tesla. I didn't have much money, but I wanted to get into investing, and those two were in my sights around 2014. I figured just a couple of $1,000s a year wouldn't make that much of a difference, so I spent my money on being a college student. Trips, nights out, etc. I don't regret all the experiences, but I have a feeling it would have been life-changing money 10 years later. Hindsight is 2020, though. Story 16. Probably no college. Technical or trade school instead. Better pay, and more opportunities if you get into the right specialty. A few specific medical treatments that took a while to figure out that I needed. And a therapist that worked for me. Story 17. I would have joined the Air Force after high school rather than go to undergraduate and then graduate school. I would have relished the opportunity to live an adult life with responsibilities much earlier than I did. Also, I would have loved the opportunity to travel internationally and serve the country. Side note, I did end up going to undergraduate and graduate school, but went the community college route to get where I am now. Story 18. I wouldn't have wasted so much time on boys who were not worth it. I met my husband without trying at 26 or 27, and it just worked. When it's good, it works. It doesn't cause pain and turmoil. More than 15 years later, it's still good. Story 19. I wouldn't take up the family farm. I was talked into it with a promise of inheriting the assets and business, split between my brothers and myself. After 10 years of profitable management, the farm is being sold by my grandfather's generation. They took over control of the estate upon his passing. Unfortunately, only one of his brothers remains. The rest are family by marriage and view our inheriting the farm as unfair to their own children. I'll get my payout, but that's not why I worked this hard. The older generation is now upset with us because we will miss our profit projections for the first time. The farm has supported them entirely for the last 20 years. Apparently, we're likely affecting their living standards. Story 21. Be a better friend to my friends. I am a good guy by most accounts. However, not realizing how much I could be there for others has cost us all so much. I undervalued myself, thinking I had nothing to offer. My biggest regret in life so far, probably forever, is that I wasn't there for my friend when he needed me. 2. Not drink as much. I was functional and my health is fine, but it was such a waste of time. 3. Be more deliberate about life. More deliberate about work. More deliberate about fun. More deliberate about what I want and what I don't want. Not as much in the big picture of just going with the flow. Going with the flow is fine in the details, such as what shall we do this weekend? Where do you want to eat tonight? But not in the overall direction of what to do and be in this life. Story 21. Work harder to find my own way out and go straight to blue-collar work. I am good at that. Found out much later. I don't mind a 9 to 5 and free weekends. Just simple. Story 22. I would get an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder diagnosis a decade earlier, take some weightlifting classes in college, wait to sell my Bitcoin, and not take a massive pay cut to work in an industry that was about to take a nosedive. Story 23. I would insist on going back to school for the education of my choosing, so that I wouldn't be where I am now. I laid down for my husband, and that ended up being a mistake. He only ever had his own best interests at heart, never anyone else's. Took me too long to see that, and now I worry it's too late. Story 24. I was mining Bitcoin back when you could with a consumer graphics card. I guess I kind of let people talk me out of it, saying it was silly. But things are good. I have enough money to take care of myself. Story 25. Go to vocational school instead. Desk or IT jobs burn me out completely, and physical work is more satisfying. I was 35 when I made the switch to culinary, and boy howdy, I wish I had done this sooner. Having random people you know just call you chef when you're out is kind of cool too. Story 26. I'm still in my 20s, but if I went back like 10 years, here's what I'd do. 1. Start college immediately. The one thing I've learned is that you're never going to feel like you are ready, so it's best to just do it. 2. I know what sort of career I want now, so I'd pick a major relevant to that instead of remaining undecided for so long. 3. Move to the city I'm in now for college. 10 years ago, a one-bedroom here for what I make would have been perfectly affordable. It would put much-needed distance between me and certain controlling family members, as well as my health issues clearing up, which is partially why I put off college so long in the first place. 4. Study and work harder. My work ethic was terrible when I was younger because I wasted my time on social bonds. If I had studied more and taken a full course load every semester instead of wasting my time on people who would eventually betray me, I could have had a 4.0 GPA every semester instead of a 3.9 and graduated ages ago. 5. Get my driver's license earlier. 6. Never drop out of that paid internship. Story 27. The only thing I would do differently is put myself in therapy so I could be a better husband and father. I got married at 20 and had kids at 23 and 25. Because I hadn't dealt with my issues, I was difficult to deal with for so many years. If I had dealt with everything then, life would have been a lot easier for everyone. Story 28. So for me, it was trial and error. I didn't have anybody holding my hand or giving me advice. I was a first-generation college student and the first one to have a professional job in my family. But I wish I knew what I wanted to do then. I wish I had gotten all my schooling done and was able to start living life by at least 29 or 30. I did a midlife career change at around 34, and it's really messed up my timeline. Story 29. I wouldn't get married, and I would save my money, and I wouldn't take a 3-year work gap for literally no other reason than I simply could. I would put money into retirement. Story 30. I chose the wrong partners, took drugs, worked in undesirable jobs, and made a lot of mistakes I am not proud of. However, while not perfect, I like where I am now. It is not perfect, but I would not change what led me to my current partner in life. Or perhaps I should just brush my teeth more. Let's go with that. Story 31. Choose a career that would maximize income. Turns out all work is challenging, so you may as well make the most money doing it. Oh yes, never turn down any opportunity with someone I was interested in. Instead of holding back out of fear of, I do not even know what, probably just low self-esteem. I probably would have found love much sooner or at least had a much better time. Story 32. Never, 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 never get too serious over one girl. Reject that foolish notion we read in books and see on television and in movies, and hear in songs about your one true flame, your soulmate, your perfect match. Reject all that. Ask out many girls. Learn to handle rejection, and do not focus on one girl continuously thinking that she will never leave you, never not support your dreams, never betray you. Concentrate hard on your school and career. Do not let any girl get under your skin and into your emotions, not under age 30. No, just don't. Story 33. Sure, here are the corrected versions of the text suitable for Azure Text-to-Speak AI. 1. Work hard to not gain weight. It's been a hassle since my mid-20s. 2. Invest $125 a week into something easy, like the S&P 500 ETF. just kind of passive investing. Story 34. I think I did pretty well with what I was given. I left people, places, and things behind if they caused harm. I started a 401k in my early 20s, but maybe I'd actually contribute to it more regularly to set myself up a little better for the future. The same goes for investing. Not going back to school right away after graduating was good for me and my mental health, but maybe going back in my 20s would have been a little more beneficial work-wise. Overall, I'm good with my 20s. Story 35. Definitely, I apply myself. I worked in dead-end jobs forever until I found a good company and have worked to advance in that company. I'm almost 40 now and doing a job that is mostly done by 26-year-olds. I do have a wonderful daughter who is my whole world, so maybe I wouldn't have her if I had done things differently. Story 36. I would ski, bicycle, kayak, and do all the outdoor exercises I do now but don't always have time for. I spent most of my 20s sitting on my bottom in front of a computer screen. I'm making up for lost time but have more obligations now, and everything generally hurts more in your 40s. Story 37. Actually live my life and enjoy it. I would also do more to better myself financially. I would appreciate the things I have more and enjoy the people in my life more.